Hello, everyone. So the purpose of this video is to show you the labs and how do you finish assignment number 5. Um, First of all, I'm going to share my screen. So as you can see here, this is World Classroom. In week 5, the subfolder is called Lab, and there's a further subfolder called DB Scripts. So I briefly mentioned these in class. The ones that you see with a little green dot on the side says published, those are the ones you're able to see. The ones are grayed out, those are not something you're not able to see. The scripts I briefly mentioned in class, for instance, right? So if you go to create ZAGI create table, so as you can see here, I showed this one in class, that you have a lot of create table queries. And then if you go to the others, for instance, if you go to, let me close this. Okay, 1 second. So if you go to the others, such as populate, Zaggy SQL.txt, as you can see here, you have even more data. Hold on a second. So that you have even more queries about insert. These are the data that I showed in class, if you recall the schema. So I can also show you the schema. So your job is to download all these files. They are all TXT files. Each one is less than 2 kilobytes. The downloading process should not take you more than 2 seconds. If I share my screen about the slides, 1 second. So if I show you the slides here, so this is one I briefly mentioned that was inside the slide. If you recall, this was a schema explaining all the queries relationships between tables. Now, your assignment is regarding this particular schema, this particular design of database. So I can show you what happens on my, 1 second, let me show you what happens on my own screen. So this is as you can see here, this is what you see here on the screen. This is the Apex, the screen for Apex. What I did here was I click on SQL Workshop, then I click on Object Browser. So in the Object Browser are all the queries that, all the database that you have seen in class. If you want to add a database, you can do the plus, right? So you can say table and you can enter all the table information, select the data type. This is an easier way in case you want to go for the more interactive way rather than going through the using the queries one by one. Personally, I prefer to write my own queries, so this is completely up to you. There's more relationships described here, more things you could possibly do here. Now for you guys, in case you had ERD, right? So let me show ERD plus here. When you had ERD, when you had the schema, for instance, this schema here called Project 904 Relational Schema. If you recall, this was one of the examples I did in class, and this one here has a doctor, just one single table. There's no any other relationships. What you can do here is that you can click on the little 3 dots on the side, and you can say generate SQL. When you generate SQL, you will see this create table information here. So hopefully that's how it works for you, on your when you are creating your projects. So at this point of time, I'm going to show you those little queries that you just downloaded from World Classroom. Again, you have full access to all the World Classroom, the queries. So you can go to scripts, right? And then you go to, one more time, that's SQL Workshop, and you go to SQL SQL scripts. When you go there, you can say create, right? And then you can, guys, you can run your queries here. You can copy and paste, one by one. That's what I plan to do. If you don't want to do that, you can also go back to scripts one more time. You can say upload. If you see this upload button here next to create, you can click on that also. This is what I showed in class. For instance, these are what I just downloaded just a few minutes ago. The first one, obviously, you have to create the table. If you already have the table, you can drop all the tables. If you don't have the table, so I'm going to create a, go to the create ZAGI SQL, this one here. So I click on open and I'm going to say call this to be create ZAGI SQL. Okay. And then please don't change the character set. UTF-8 means the text file is UTF-8. That's more than sufficient. So if you do upload, oh wait, I already had one. So I'm going to change the name just to show you. Because I showed you last time or last night already, so I'm gonna modify this just by really quickly. So one more time here, and then call this to be 2. For this one here, I'm gonna delete my, the one I showed you already. So I'm gonna delete this. So far I have nothing. I'm gonna click on this run here. It says run script, right? So I'm gonna say run now. You will see this error message down here saying how many errors. In my case, I have no errors, right? So I just had 8 successful, right? So if you're happy, there's no errors, and then you should be happy, you go back to the scripts one more time. So as you understand, now that you have the tables ready, right? So in fact, you can go back and check again. You can go to your object browser and check for all those tables. If you recall from the schema, let me show you again. We do have, let's see here, we have region, we have store, we have product, we have includes, we have sales transaction, and customer, vendor, and category, right? So you can go back and verify, do you have those tables? Do you have region? Do you have store? In my case, I do. You have product. You can click on each one to see the description actually meets your requirements, right? So do you have includes? Do you have sales transaction? Do you have vendor, right? So double check on that. Do you have category, right? So check on all of them. Just so you know, the words, the tables on the from the object browser are sorted from the based on ABCD, like an ascending order. So that's why some of them they're all the way up there, some of them they're all the way down, right? Anyway, so double check all of your tables and make sure everything's in place. So I'm back to my SQL workshop again. So far there's no data. As you can see here, if I click on region, right? So there's no data. There's a basic description, but there's no data. So now you go back to the SQL scripts, right? So one more time, you do the same thing, upload. The second one you want to select here is called populate. ZAGI SQL. If you recall, I just showed you, it's all the insert statement. I'm going to call this Zaggy SQL here and then say upload. Right, so this is a new one I just uploaded here. So I'm going to produce a run. It says run script and you say run now. So when you're done, one more time, you want to double check, do you have any errors? If you have any errors, you want to go back and make sure you verify it. There's no errors. There should not be any errors. Okay. So this one here, as you can see here, if you read from it, right? So you're inserting to store, you're inserting to category, you're inserting to vendor, right? If you go on to next, you're also inserting to values in, I'm sorry, you're inserting to sales transactions, customers, and also includes, right? Double check on all the tables and you can go back to object browser one more time. So for instance, if you go to customer at this point of time, right? So there are some information about the table, right? So you can also click on data. Do you see the data? Oh gosh, sorry, I click on the wrong thing. So let me go back here again. So one more time, data. Now, do you see the data being populated here? If you go to category, do you also see the data being populated here, right? So these are the data we mentioned last night, if you recall. There's category ID and so on and so forth. So at this point of time, you can go to your SQL workshop and you can go to, the other files that you see from World Classroom are not necessary at this point of time. I can show you. So the other queries are, for instance, right? So there's also, clear. We don't need to say clear. Clear means you're clearing all the entry, and we don't want to do that, right? So there's a drop table. As I mentioned last time, drop table means you're removing the data. You don't want to do that either, right? So there's also something called grant that I'm going to show you here also. So grant here, so far, there's nothing for you to do. It's just basically grants. We can talk about this later on. So it's not relevant to your assignment for this week. So there's also update, as you can see here also. So update basically alters, and we haven't discussed alters yet. So I plan to talk about this in week number 6. So anyway, so let's go back to the let me go back to the object browser just a second. Okay, here it is. So at this point of time, suppose this is your project, right? So or maybe your assignment, right? So you come back here and you say, I want to see something, right? I want to see what's going on here, right? So you can simply say select all from customer. What's it called, customer or customers? You see that one more time. Customer, yeah, there you go. So scripts, quick. So I'm gonna say select all from customer. You can close by semicolon here, right? So the quicks, actually I shouldn't use the quick, because the quick here generates based on, user queries, it generates the output. So let's go here. This is a customer table again, so I can go to SQL. Okay, 1 second. It's running a little slow, as you can see here. Hopefully the system is not crashed. Oh, 换动你白 con. So this is a SQL query that I was just using a few minutes ago, as you can see here. Now, guys, if you were using the table creation tool on Apex, the Apex actually also generate this query for you. So it's not like, it's very intuitive, as you can see here. It's not something like you have to rewrite the query every single time. Very, very easy to use. Now let's go to SQL scripts one more time. Actually, you know what? I can just go to commands. I'm going to say select all from customer, just see what's going on in the customer table. Do you see all the customers? I can go a little bit more. I can say select all from vendor, right? So in the query, and then that's how it goes. So one more time, that's SQL Workshop, and you go to commands, and that's probably the easiest way, right? Now, if you had in class, I mentioned if you had many insert statements, just like what I did, the alternative is, of course, you can also save all that, insert into a script, a TXT file, really simple, and you can upload all at one time. That's really hard because sometimes when you're making a mistake, you could end up with 200 different error messages and you don't even know where they come from. So my recommendation is still, like I mentioned in class, is still that you do one by one. If it works, you go on to the next statement, right? If it doesn't work, of course, you can go back and fix it. But that's really easy because there's only one. So please try like one by one. One more time, what I did was I go to SQL Workshop, then I did commands. So as you can see here, I did one by one. Which is slow, but it's guaranteed to be working. Okay. So that's all from this conclusion, from this presentation. Please let me know if you have any questions. Okay. Love to hear from you guys. Thank you. Okay. Bye.